It's been about 26 months and 90 games since I covered the first Legend of Zelda. I think it's time to 100% Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link. Like the first game, I first played this game through the NES Classics line on the GBA back in 2005. I also own it on the GameCube Collection disc. I never did beat it until I did for this show. I got to around the third dungeon I think and never progressed further despite several attempts at playthroughs over the next 3 or so years. Here I'm playing it on the Wii U Virtual Console. Since after I recorded this game, we now know it's going down next year, I've been trying to download as many of the games I'd want to play for this show that would be harder to obtain legitimately anywhere else on my limited funds. So for those of you who watch my recent collecting videos, they may also become less frequent depending on how much goes towards the Virtual Console. As for the story, it's set 4 years after the first game. Around his 16th birthday, Link gets a Triforce marking on his hand. Link shows this mark to Impa, who takes Link to the North Castle, revealing to him a second Princess Zelda, who has been trapped under a sleeping spell for generations. Back when Hyrule was a unified country, the king maintained peace using the entire Triforce, but when he died, only part of the Triforce passed down to the prince, as he didn't possess all 3 components of the Triforce equally. While searching for the other pieces, a wizard convinced him that his sister Zelda knew where they were. The prince tries to get her to talk, which results in the wizard putting Zelda under a seemingly permanent sleeping spell, also killing the wizard. In his grief, the prince puts into law that all women born into the royal family shall be named Zelda. Impa gives Link a scroll and 6 crystals. The scroll tells of the Triforce being split into 3 pieces: Wisdom, Power and Courage. Link already got Wisdom and Power in the first game, but Courage was hidden with a spell that would place a mark on the hand of anyone who is capable of holding the Triforce of Courage. It is hidden in the Great Palace in the Valley of Death, but to enter it, Link must first make his way through 6 palaces around Hyrule, defeat their guardians, and place a crystal in the forehead of the statue being guarded. Only then will the barrier blocking entry into the Great Palace be removed. But that's not all. After Ganon's death at Link's hands, he still has living devoted followers out to revive him, and it turns out that sacrificing Link and sprinkling his blood on Ganon's ashes will revive him. Now it's time to actually start the game. We always start the game inside the North Castle, where we can see the sleeping Zelda. Strangely, the Zelda we saved in the first game, who is presumably ruling Hyrule now, is nowhere to be seen and never mentioned. As you can see, most of the gameplay is now a side-scroller, with an RPG-style world map when not in towns, dungeons or fights. Enemies appear on the overworld as little moving blobs, and coming into contact puts you in a battle screen. My first fight here is against Bots, the red slimes, and Bits, the blue slimes. The blue ones can jump at me, but the red ones are nothing. I head north into this one patch of forest to enter a hidden area. Here are some aches that can be a pain to react to with their patterns. Most important is this point bag that gives me the 50 XP needed to level up. I can only afford to increase my life, which I choose to do. But if I wanted to, I could hold on to this XP so that I can afford another upgrade earlier. From there I follow the path southeast into the town of Rauru. Here I have people I can talk to and some houses to enter. Talking to the women in red dresses will have them invite you into their house where they will heal you fully. The joke's been made a million times, I won't add to it. Personally, my favourite NPC in the line has always been the simple, "Sorry, I know nothing." On the second screen, I talk to the woman in purple leaving a house with a paw above her head to have her let me in to speak with her father. All towns have old men that will teach Link new skills. This one teaches me the shield spell. For 32 magic points, it will make Link's clothes red and half damage taken until you either die or move on to another screen. Time to leave town. The southern path is blocked by a roadblock, so I head north into this forest. Here I face orange moblins who don't award any experience when killed. There's also the dealer, spiders that lower themselves from trees to try and hit me. Like the first game, when at full health, sword attacks will also fire a beam. Northeast of the town is a cave I can enter. I don't have an item to light my way, so it's dark. This has a side effect of making enemies invisible. Just heading left lets me leave the other side into a desert. There's a palace here, but I'm not entering just yet. Fairies can also be seen moving around the otherworld. Touching them will trigger a battle scene with just the fairy to grab. I go east and then south. On the way I face my first Geldam. Hitting them makes them recede into the ground, allowing you to actually damage them by hitting their head. We also have projectiles flying around. Most of them can be blocked by just letting them make contact with Link's shield. I gotta say, when Link's standing still, I just cannot see the shield as a shield. It always looked like he's holding a second sword to me. Continuing south, there's a spot that automatically puts me in this platforming section, jumping over the pits. Gotta be careful though, as these rising bubbles can let me backwards when they hit. I aim for this empty spot in the middle of the forest, but a monster touches me at the same time, so I end up pinned between 2 Gorias. These are a much bigger pain than they were in the first game with their boomerangs. Didn't help that a new enemy, Megmat, also shows up to jump at me, resulting in my first death. I decide the only correct choice is to just run through them and escape off screen. I step on that spot again to be taken to this Stonehenge looking place where I find a heart container. While health is mainly extended through levelling, there are still 4 of these hidden around the country. Luckily, the Goria hitting me during that couldn't actually damage me. If they can't move further backwards, they are much easier to kill. On the way back, I lose a second of my 3 lives getting knocked into water by a bubble. It happens again close to the end, getting me a game over and claiming Ganon's revival. Getting a game over makes me start from the North Castle with all my current XP taken away, but other things I gained like items and spells are kept. I return to the desert and finally enter that palace I walked past, Parapa Palace. I head right and down a lift. Down here are Wasu. These give no experience when killed, but if you get hit by them it will drain a little of your XP. I head left into the next room. After somehow losing half of my health to a bit, I meet my first Stalfos. I can just crouch stab and they can't do anything. They drop 30 experience which allows me to get my magic to level 2. Leveling magic reduces spell costs. All the way to the left is a key I can pick up by hitting it. I return to the first room and go to the next room on the right. I unlock the door, ignore the bubble as it isn't worth fighting right now, and keep going right into the next room. Where one slip of the thumb has me crouch facing the wrong direction, letting Stalfos get the killing blow on me. But the game is very generous and restarts me at the beginning of this room. But then I end up with a bad situation close to this lift. I cannot get around this Stalfos here without taking damage and I end up close to death again trying to force my way through it. I move right into the next room. I keep going right, killing more enemies and pass another lift to find a much appreciated fairy. I take the lift up, head up some stairs and grab another key off the ground. Right into the next room, I get some great luck when a bit drops another point bag. Going all the way right has me meet my first Goomba. They're basically this game's hammer brother, throwing maces in the same arc they throw hammers. But that arc also means they can't hit me up close, so I back him up to a wall and stab him to death, getting me the 150 XP needed to upgrade my life to level 3. I grab the key he was guarding. Also, many of these statues will drop magic potions when stabbed, but later some can transform into enemies. I go back down the lift and since it's in the right spot, I decide to kill this bubble. It has so much health that it takes over 30 seconds of constant stabbing to kill, but it does get me 50 XP. I backtrack to the lift I skipped earlier and take it down. Going left, this room has even more bubbles. I kill 2 but take too much damage from the others, so I just move left to the next room where I actually get killed by a bit jumping at me. This is one issue I have with the game. Your combat options are far too limited to start with. Simple enemies like bits can absolutely be a problem thanks to the way they jump and not having a good enough way to deal with that. I run across this collapsing bridge, just barely getting the point bag without dying. With 200 XP I can finally upgrade attack to level 2, so less enemies will require a million hits to kill. And at the other end, another bit drops me a point bag. In the next room I meet another Goomba, but this time I'm not risking the mace damage and using the shield spell. Past him is the first Iron Knuckle of the game. These are scary with their constantly moving shield and long sword range, but if you get this jump and stab timing correct, they become far more manageable. I unlock the door behind it and grab the candle, which automatically lights all dark caves in the game. I backtrack once again and return to the second lift, but this time I take it down. There's 9 Knuckle in this cramped corridor and he takes my last life, back to the North Castle. I return to him with even more XP than I just lost to him and kill him this time. I continue right up some stairs, taking out more Stalfos on the way, and in the next room I unlock another door and kill another Goomba for the 300 XP that gets my magic to level 3. Further right is another Iron Knuckle and then on to the next room. This takes me to the Palace Guardian, Horsehead. His only attack is to swing his mace and his only weak spot is his horse head. He has a health bar that goes down a block with each hit, so I know it will only take 8 hits to kill. This guy is absolutely no threat and only manages to hit me once before I kill him. He drops the final key, letting me unlock the door to the statue that I place a crystal in. Doing so also fills my health and magic and gives me the XP for my next level, which in this case is life level 4. I can exit out of the right, and if you've collected every item in the palace, it will be destroyed when you complete it, but only when you collect them all. You can't lose an important item forever. My next destination is a cave southwest of the North Castle, with the candle I can now see in here. We have new enemy Veloda, who can only try to charge me head on. We also have the return of the Octoroks. These ones are placed in a position so that if I crouch, their rocks can't hit me. One even kindly drops another point bag. I've been getting good luck with these so far. At the end of the cave is a magic container. Like the heart container, there are 4 of these and they upgrade my maximum magic points. To the far north of the North Palace is another cave in the desert. It's merely jumping over pits with enemies we've already seen. At the end there's a red Goria guarding a trophy. Once I leave, I get back on the path and head west to the town of Ruto. In the first open house we can meet Era. I'm sure most people now know this, but his name was never a translation error, his name was always meant to be Error. On the second screen, I talk to the woman that leaves the first house to return the trophy to her. She lets me enter the house and talk to her uncle, the town's old man. He gives me the jump spell, which for 32 magic points increases my jump height until I leave that screen. From that town I go south to enter a cave. It's mainly a couple Octoroks and a red Goria. The thing is, when an enemy drops an item like a magic potion on death, you don't get any XP from them, which is especially annoying when it's an enemy that gives a lot of XP like a Goria. The second screen has a few loaders and I get killed by another red Goria. Next time I kill it and head through to the third screen. In here are a couple Aches and the new Ake Man, who transforms into a fire-breathing gargoyle thing when it gets close to the ground. I just barely kill it and reach the first place in the game, requiring that I use the jump spell. Going right a little more puts me back outside on the other side of that cave. My health is dangerously low, but thankfully a patch of forest just to the right has a fairy in it. I go south into the Midori Swamp, which slows my walking speed. This also applies to battle scenes as well. While looking for a specific spot, I end up getting harassed by Moby. These are another enemy that end up stealing XP if they hit you. Thanks to dealing with both of them and Octoroks, I get killed. The spot I'm looking for is one tile southwest of this boulder. It lets me grab a Link Doll that gives me an extra life. Now people usually save these for when they need them for a difficult part. But I know I'm never going to be holding onto lives for long, and these are a one-time pickup, so I'm just getting them out of the way whenever I can. Southeast of the swamp I head into this forest and stand on another specific tile. Here I find a house where I meet Bug, whose name is incorrectly localised as Bagu, who gives me a note for Riverman. On my way out of the forest, I lose that new life to a Megamat. South of the forest is a bridge that triggers another battle scene. This is basically a Super Mario Bros. Level. I'm running across a bridge while avoiding jumping fish, this time Bago Bago. Being hit by them takes 10 XP from me, but only from direct contact, their projectiles don't take any. I lose half my life before I make it to the other side. South of the bridge is my next town, the water town of Saria. When you've played Ocarina of Time before this, that just doesn't sound right. On the second screen I enter the first house where by the table I can have Link say his first spoken words in the series when he says he found a mirror under the table. I go back to the first screen and return it to the woman holding a paw above her head. She lets me into her house so I can talk to the old man to learn the life spell. 60 magic points will restore my health. I leave town and go east to this one patch of forest. Inside is a point bag that gives me 100 XP. Then I just hang around and kill enemies to reach 500 before I get a game over and lose it all. With it I get my attack to level 3. Back in Saria, I go all the way left to the last screen so I can enter Riverman's house and hand him the note so he'll lower the bridge and let me access the southern part of town where I can leave. And to the south is the entrance to the hardest part of the game already, Death Mountain. I got through this place once when I was about 15 and never again. I start by taking the cave on the right. A red moblin with its spear range leaves me a hit from a game over already, just in time for a second to finish me off. I return there with all 3 lives next time. I kill the moblins and make it through. From where it puts me I can only go right into another cave. In here I almost get killed by a blue Goria, the strongest version. I end up having to use my life spell. Once again when I leave I can only go right into a third cave. After some aches I reach a lift and get attacked by one of the most difficult enemies in the game, a Daira. Their axes have better range than my sword and they deal a ton of damage, so I lose my first life. The plus side to this is that my magic refills so I can cast shield. This time I kill the Daira with a pattern of crouch stabbing, taking one step forward and repeating. I ignore the lift and go out the right side. Of my 2 choices I once again take the right side. This one just has me crossing another bridge with Bago Bago jumping out at me. Then once again I can only move right into another cave. This has me running into an even worse red Daira. These ones throw their axes and this one kills me in no time. Even more annoying is that my sword beams don't even damage him. I kill him but my crouch stab pattern doesn't work on these ones since range is never an issue for them. This time when I leave I head south to the next cave where I get killed by the blue Goria again. Game over. Gotta start that again. No, I'm not 100%, but I believe the entire Death Mountain area is supposed to represent the entirety of Zelda 1's Hyrule, since that was also a mostly rocky region, and not just the area the first game's final dungeon was. This time it takes until the red Daira for me to lose my first life, so I'm doing better. This time I kill that blue Goria, but can't take a single hit without dying. After it, another Daira has me trapped. I can't drop down so I try to jump over it, but it moves back so I land on it and die. Next time I take no chances and activate shield before I kill it. Then when I leave through the other side, the cave is to the south again. There's another Daira running against the wall, but at least I can stab this one in the face. While it was nice getting a magic refill, missing out on that 70 XP did hurt considering how close to a level up that would put me, but I get the XP from the next one at least. I leave and south once more gets me to yet another cave. Right away I'm killing another Daira and getting the 700 XP to raise magic to level 4. Continuing left, I kill another Daira and leave to be put on a beach. I go to the left a little and enter this hole next to a boulder which is apparently Spectacle Rock from the first game. I get stuck with another red Daira that just manages to keep me at a slight distance and he takes my last life. This close to the end, I was not happy. Fourth attempt and I once again lose my last life to that first red Daira's axe in my skull. I honestly can't think of another enemy in this entire series that I hate more than the Daira. Only this time it kills me twice. Then I lose my last life to that same orange Daira that took my second life last time. So I decide, fuck it, time to grind, and put myself in that forest south of Parappa Palace. It takes about 10 minutes around here to reach the 800 XP needed to get my life to level 5. That should at least combat some of the ridiculous damage the Daira does. This time I do well enough that the same orange Daira only takes my first life. This time I return to Spectacle Rock, kill the Daira, fight through a few Eggman and move on to the second screen. At the start of this screen I reach 1000 XP which gets my attack to level 4. I deal with another orange Daira, take the lift down and move left in time to be killed by another red Daira. I'm at least thankful it ends at red and there's no even stronger blue Daira. This time I can pin him in the corner and quickly stab him to death. There's also the Mew here, but they're so low down I can't hit them right now. I go left to the next screen where it turns out there's just a magic potion. I turn to the left and go right where I have to deal with another of these fuckers. This time I'm lucky enough to back him into the exit and make him fall off the screen. The next screen has me jumping over lava pits and since I only have this life left, I'm shitting myself with every jump. The next screen has me fighting 2 more Dairas and after that I can finally grab the hammer, which lets me smash boulders on the overworld. But then a dickhead Eggman kills me on the way out, so I have to go through Death Mountain yet again for one more item. I make it back to Spectacle Rock with 2 lives and smash the boulder next to it. I step on the tile where it was and fall into a hole where I can grab my second magic container. From there I go all the way east and into the cave there. I'm jumping over more lava pits and I lose my second life when an Octorok knocks me back into one mid-jump. Next time I use the jump spell to be certain I go over it. This puts me out on the eastern side of Death Mountain, so I just go north into one last cave. And that's the worst part of the game over with. It spits me out into the area east of Saria. The only path I can take is this bridge. It's not much trouble, even the blue moblins couldn't get at me with my sword beams. But the second screen adds the rising bubbles and I just can't be free of red Dairas. But after that it's the end of the bridge and I exit into a graveyard. Slightly to the south is a tile where I can find another Link doll. I go north and smash this boulder to return to the Midoro swamp. I smash the boulder block in the cave and enter. The first screen is some Bagos and Magmets, the second has an orange Daira. Thankfully these now only take 3 hits to kill, but it's followed up by a red one who kills me. Good thing I got that doll. I'd have been pissed to game over with only 32 XP left to level up. I kill it and the 1200 XP gets me to magic level 5. Then there's another who drops a point bag with a nice 200 XP in it. Behind it is the item I came in here for, the Water of Life. I return to the previous boulder I smashed and go north and then west into another cave. Just got some Magmets and an orange Goria to deal with on the way to the second screen containing a point bag worth 200 XP. Then back on the path and slightly north, I smash the boulder south of Rauru. I no longer have to go through the cave south of Ruto again. Then to the east I smash another boulder blocking another cave. The only real threat here is a blue Goria on the first screen before I find my second heart container on the second screen. I return to the region with the graveyard and follow the path east to the harbour town of Mido. I always wondered why most of the other towns became the names of sages in Ocarina of Time, but Mido just becomes the name of the shithead kid. On the second screen I use the jump spell to reach the open door on top of this church. Inside a knight teaches me the best skill in the game, the downstab. Now when I jump at an enemy, if I hold down, I'll attack them from above. This just makes moving around enemies so much easier. On the third screen I talk to the old woman leaving her house and give her the Water of Life. She lets me inside so I can talk to the old man who teaches me the fairy spell. For 40 magic points I can transform into a fairy with no means of attack, but I gain free flight. Then I leave town and head north past the boulder I smashed again. South of one of the caves I entered earlier is a spot with a one-time magic potion I pick up. I then go through the gap to the west and eventually reach Midoro Palace. I head right and go down the lift. I ignore the first floor down and keep moving past the second until I reach the bottom floor. Got some steps to climb, but now these statues will start spitting fireballs towards me. I move right to the next screen where I have to take on another Guma. When I first found these I thought they were a nightmare, but after dealing with red Dairas, these guys don't seem anywhere near as bad. I use the platform to jump over the next one and grab a key. I return to the lift, go up to the second floor and go left. Here we have the return of the ropes from the first game. For being so easy to kill, I wasn't expecting 20 XP each from them. Bubbles still take forever though. I move on to the next screen where I face my first blue Stalfos. These guys also have their own version of the downstab, but at this point they only take 2 hits to kill. I grab another key, return to the lift, go up to the first floor and go left. There's a thing on the ceiling dropping fireballs and a single blue Stalfos before the next screen. On this screen I find a Ra. These move in the way of a Castlevania Medusa head pattern and on contact steal XP from me. Further left I unlock a door and move on to the next screen. I jump onto this row of blocks above lava and grab another key, then keep moving to the next screen. Orange Iron Knuckles only take 3 hits to kill now, but the next one is a little harder thanks to a bubble distracting me. To the next screen once again. The only threat here is more bubbles which get me the 1500 XP for life level 6. At the end I find a lift and take it down to the next floor, then go west again. I unlock a door and move to another screen. In this room I have blocks dropping from the ceiling. They block a point bag so I leave, come back in, grab it and move left to the next screen. I use the jump spell to reach a statue for a magic potion, but this makes things harder as I have to fight a stronger red iron knuckle and with my higher jump, getting the timing for the pattern is much harder. But I still manage it and unlock a door to face a second. After killing it I can grab the unfortunately named Handy Glove. With this my sword can now break certain heavy blocks in the palaces. I return to the lift and take it down, avoiding the mower flying around here. I have to deal with it flying around and dropping fire around me while I take on an iron knuckle. I move on to the next screen, take out a Stalfos while avoiding fire from the statues, and smash through the blocks I can now destroy. I do it once more to reach the next room. If I can get above a bubble as it moves, the downstab is a very good method of killing them. Going further is another lift, but I move past it for now and to the next room. There's another Goomba at the end of this one guarding another key. Once I've got it, I return to the lift and go down to the bottom floor of the palace. Climb some stairs while killing another Goomba and move to the next screen. I drop through the bridges while downstabbing to grab the point bag and quickly run across the rest of the bridge. I take out an iron knuckle and move on. I unlock a door, take out a pair of iron knuckles and move on to the boss room. I activate the shield and take on Helmet Head. I hit his head twice to knock his helmet off. Not only will he fire projectiles out of his face, but the helmet I knocked off will also fly around above me and do the same. But this guy is really easy and dies in no time. I place the helmet and with the level up granted to me, I reach attack level 5. That's a third of the palaces cleared. Once I'm outside, I return to the graveyard near Mido, and slightly southwest of the grave in the middle is another one-time magic potion to grab. The lone grave in the middle is the king's tomb. Walking directly south from it has me fall down a hole into a cave. To the right is a high wall requiring me to use a fairy spell to fly up and continue to the next screen. Nothing new here, and I'm even able to kill Blue Gorius without being touched. Exiting this cave puts me on an island with the third palace to the northwest. This is the island palace and around the furthest I've ever got in this game before. I can't remember if I ever completed this palace, but I know for a fact I never reached the fourth palace. This time the first lift can only take me down one floor where I can only move to the right. My first enemy is essentially the dungeon equivalent of a Red Dyra, a Doom Knocker. They fight in similar ways, but I find these easier to kill. It's followed up by a slightly stronger armoured Stalfos that fights the same and dies easily. On to the next screen. Here are many rows of those now breakable blocks. Not much to say and I move on. This room also just has me moving straight forward, avoiding fire from a mower and blocks falling from the ceiling. And it's another room with breakable floors. I make sure to downstab my way to this key on the way and after dealing with another Doom Knocker, a point bag. Then it's moving on. There's an iron knuckle trapped in the blocks that I deal with, but after that I just jump over the rest of it until I reach a lift and my first red armoured Stalfos. But I tell that bitch to fuck himself and instead move right to the next screen. This screen has me outside, fighting iron knuckles while avoiding mower fireballs. At the end is a key to grab and I go to the previous screen, kill the Stalfos and take the lift down. I go right and unlock the door, kill these Mao that simply fly and fire projectiles and move on to the next screen. I kill another iron knuckle and I'm left with very little health and not enough magic for the life spell. But then I meet the blue iron knuckle which can throw its swords, resulting in my death and a game over. Considering this was the same life I completed the entire Midori Palace with too, I would have been more surprised if I cleared 2 palaces without dying once. I make it back, but lose my first life to the first armoured Stalfos. One thing I just needed to keep in mind is that unlike the Red Dyras, I can actually block the iron knuckle's thrown weapon with my shield. I kill it and unlock the door behind it to find the raft, which I'll use after finishing this palace. I backtrack to the lift and go left, making sure to strike the statue head for a magic potion so I can heal. The next room is another iron knuckle. Then I ignore the lift and keep moving left to the next screen. I climb some blocks and move along them, killing Mao until I see another key to downstab my way to. I ferry my way out and backtrack to the lift and go down it to the bottom floor. This room has more of the same enemies, but I do need to use the jump spell at one point to reach a point bag. The next room, I have to climb these blocks to the top level and downstab through some blocks to face a red iron knuckle while a blue one on the other side is throwing shit at me and leaves me a hit from death. I'm about to leave the room but then I see a point bag on the lowest level, so I have to fight the blue iron knuckle anyway. I fail to stab and instead ram my face into it to lose my second life. Next time it turns out I can just start at the bottom and run along it to reach the point bag. Not dealing with an iron knuckle without being able to jump, so I continue on to the next screen. I activate the shield in this room and take on the third boss, Rebonak. He'll just pass by the screen back and forth trying to ram me with his horse, but I jump in place and downstab, hoping to get his head. After 5 hits, the horse runs away and he becomes a regular blue iron knuckle and a bigger threat, but at least he only takes 4 hits to kill. I unlock the door and place a third crystal. That's half of them, and the level up gets me to magic level 6. That's where I'll be leaving this game this episode. Next time I'll be covering the other 4 dungeons in this game. I will say that Death Mountain aside, I've been enjoying this game a lot more than I ever have before. We'll see how I feel after the rest of it. And we return to finish off the other half of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Last time we just finished the Island Palace, having placed my 3rd crystal out of 6. I currently only have 1 of my 3 lives remaining. After healing in Mido from the previous palace, I walk into the harbour and use the raft to travel to Eastern Hyrule. I stand on this one tile of forest to the south and enter a battle scene. There are a lot of Giruboku here and they can only be damaged when their eyes are open, only I throw myself into one and game over. Next time I just power past them, grab the point bag and leave. I travel east to find a town, but first go south to enter this cave. Tektites are here and shooting fireballs out of their eyes, but right now I don't have either of the spells that can damage them. I just power through them to the second screen where I bounce over this Aruroda and grab a second point bag and die on the way out. There's a giant spider blocking the path west of the cave, but I can't deal with it yet, so I backtrack north into the town of Nabooru. On the second screen I talk to a woman leaving the first house who tells Link she's thirsty, so I walk further and crouch at the fountain to get some water. I give her the water and she lets me into her house to talk to the old man who teaches me the fire spell, which for 16 magic points lets me shoot fire from my sword. It's one of the few ways I can kill Tektites. I leave town and enter the cave entrance to the north. I kill a few Ache men and then run into a basilisk, another enemy that requires a fire spell to kill. It takes a lot of shots though. Leaving the screen puts me on the other side of the mountain. I head east through the forest towards a bridge, but just before reaching it I end up fighting some levers. With the downstab these are no problem at all. Before getting on the bridge, in the southwest corner of the beach is another Link doll. Getting on the bridge takes me to Maze Island. Not only is there the 4th palace at the end of this maze, but there is also 2 items to find here. First I go along the southern path to the east end, and then follow the path north to a hole that drops me in a cave. In here is my first Lizalfos, who fight just like Iron Knuckles. I ignore it and find the lost child. This was a bad idea, as the Lizalfos can hit me during the item get pose and kills me. On respawning I take the left path and leave. I return the way I came and at the first path heading north, I take it and go east into a battle scene. Here I'm slowly ascending while fighting basilisks and Tektites until I reach the exit. I go north and east, ignoring the first bridge and crossing the second. I go west into another battle scene, just more Tektites and basilisks. From there it's west a little more, north and around the wall, and south until I reach another hole that drops me in front of another magic container. I leave the rest of the maze for now and leave. Back in the forest area I go west and into this mountain path. At the start of the path is a mandatory battle screen with me jumping over the water and fighting Octoroks, followed by one with almost the exact same layout but now with bubbles rising from the ground. Once I'm through I can enter the mountain town of Darunia. Now that one is actually a thing after Ocarina of Time. On the second screen I use the jump spell to get on top of the smallest house and jump along the roofs until I can drop down a chimney. In this house is a warrior who'll teach me the up stab, like the down stab but done by pressing up. It's useful but I get more use out of the down stab. And that's all my sword techniques acquired. I go to the third screen and talk to the first old woman I see to return her child. She lets me into her house so I can talk to the old man who teaches me the reflect spell. For 32 magic points I can block some projectiles with my shield that I couldn't normally, and reflect spells from an enemy I haven't met yet. Now it's time to return to Maze Island. On the way I meet another new enemy, the Boon. They'll fly around and try to drop boulders on my head. Back to the second screen of Maze Island, the one after the bridge, I lose my second life to a Tektite's fireballs. This time after getting through it, I go north through the gap and continue north and west and then east into another battle screen. Just more of the usual suspects and I move on. At the fork I go north and take the first east I can into another screen. I worry when I have to heal and don't have enough magic for another fire spell, but there's a red potion for me here thankfully. Once again after I leave I take the next east and go south into another screen that adds the Boon into the mix of enemies. The first one I kill drops a red potion, so I can boost myself with all the spells first and then fully recover all my magic. And once I leave it's just south, east and south to reach the 4th palace, the Maze Palace. For the first time, the entrance screen actually has an enemy, with a mower flying around. I take the lift down and go right to the next screen. I have to bait an armoured Stalfos out of a hole so I can grab the point bag in it and reach the 2500 XP for life level 7. I reach a lift, take it down and get off at the first chance to keep moving right to the next screen. I use the jump spell and run across this collapsing bridge and jump the huge gap to take out the Doom Knocker and move on to the next screen. In here I have to cross some bridges across lava. There are piles of blocks with flames on top, so I just have to destroy the blocks to lower the flames so that I can jump over them. At the end is my first key. I use up nearly all my magic on life and shield and all that, expecting hitting the statue to give me a red potion, but instead I get a red iron knuckle from it. Not that it matters because a Doom Knocker shows up on one of the bridges on the way back and bumps me into the lava for a game over. Now this is one of the hardest palaces to backtrack to after a game over thanks to the amount of mandatory battle scenes I have to go back through. I return to the room with the collapsing bridge and instead fall into the pit to be dropped onto a lower floor. I land on another collapsing bridge and jump off to safety. I head to the right, deal with an input reading Doom Knocker and move on to the next room. I have to fight 2 armoured Stalfos at the same time and manage it without getting hit. This is followed by a blue iron knuckle who has such perfect timing, most of his throws hit and I die. Next time I fight it back, unlocking a door while doing so, and kill it. It was guarding the boots. They allow me to walk over certain bits of water in the overworld. I backtrack to the pit I dropped above and fall in again. I land on another collapsing bridge and move right once more to another screen. It's another room filled with bridges and fire atop blocks, but this time the Doom Knocker is there for me to kill from the beginning, followed by an armoured Stalfos and a bubble just before I reach a second key. I backtrack to the bridge I landed on and try to cross it, but a dickhead Ra knocks me into the lava and kills me. I make it across next time and into the next room. This screen has the first Wizrobes in the game. This is where the reflect spell comes in. I can bounce their spells off my shield and back at them. I unlock a door and find a lift. I ignore it and keep moving left, getting stuck between 2 Wizrobes. Just one reflected spell will kill them. The next room has me climbing up some blocks and downstabbing through them to grab a key. It takes me some time and a lot of health to get out while dealing with these arseholes. I return to the lift I skipped and ride it up 4 floors to the top. This is the first floor from the entrance. I return to the entrance lift and go left this time. There's some Wizrobes, but I don't have the magic to cast Reflect, so I just have to avoid them, unlock the door and run to the next screen. Right away I can see a key and some breakable blocks above me. I kill the iron knuckle here, upset the blocks, jump spell up, grab it and unlock the door right in front of me. I skip the lift here and keep moving left to the next screen. It's another block climbing room. Not far in, I downstab my way to a point bag. That's all in here, so I go back to the lift I skipped and ride it down. I move right into the next screen. It's another of the bridge over lava rooms. This time there are Ra flying at me and one rams me out of the air and into lava for a game over. Thankfully I now have the boots and can just walk up the river to the palace. I get back to the room quickly enough and grab another key at the end. I return to the lift, go left and unlock the door to the next room. This one has me jumping across a pair of collapsing bridges until I reach another lift to ride down. But I missed a key somewhere. I return to the last block room I got a point bag in and go further along to get the key I missed. I die on the way back though. I return to the locked door and open it. This place has a couple armoured Stalfos to fight and a point bag requiring the jump spell to reach. The next room has me fighting a pair of red iron knuckles before I finally reach the boss room. The 4th boss is Karok, and he's even easier than Horsehead. I just cast Reflect and crouch in the corner. He cannot hurt me unless he teleports into this exact spot and eventually enough spells get bounced at him to kill him. I place the 4th crystal, getting me to 3000 XP and attack level 6 before I leave. I return to the town of Nabooru and follow the path west, walking over the water thanks to the boots. It takes me straight to the 5th palace, but first I can go down at a specific spot onto this island where one specific tile leads to an area where I need to use a jump spell to reach a point bag. Back on the first path, there's another hidden path north leading to a tile in the sea containing the game's 3rd heart container. Now I can enter the Ocean Palace. When I go down the entrance lift, I can only move right. I climb up some blocks taking out ropes until I reach the next screen. Here I can't reach the key with the jump spell, so I fly up as a fairy, leave the screen to the right and come back as normal to grab the key. Then go to the right again. The next room has me running on a collapsing bridge avoiding Ra, but I miss a point bag with my downstab and the successful attempt at grabbing it causes my death. Just 1 life left. I cross the bridge and move on to the next screen. This one has me passing the breakable blocks, taking on iron knuckles and unlocking a door to a lift that I take down before moving left. Here my first Mago appears. They're like Wizrobes but send out a fireball along the floor. They also have a nice 200 XP when you kill them. The next screen has an out of reach key and falling blocks. I just have to let the blocks pile up and climb them to the key. I then continue left to the next screen. This room has me taking down 3 iron knuckles before I go down another lift. I move right to the next screen while avoiding Magos. I try to jump on this bridge over lava, but an absolute arsehole Bago flies out of nowhere and swaps me into the lava and into a game over. This time I go left from that lift. Here I move past another lift, forget that fairies can't grab bags again, and unlock a door before moving to the next screen. I then come back and get the point bag and take the lift down. I get off at the first left to take on a Guma, downstab through some blocks and continue left to upstab myself another point bag. I return to the lift and take the right path to take out an iron knuckle and grab another key, then I take the right exit. This room is just a straight line of bubbles and Magos. The one after it has a blue iron knuckle and what looks like a dead end, but the wall is fake and I can jump through it and follow it into another screen, followed by another screen of Magos until I reach a lift and go down it. Here I unlock a door while being menaced by another Mago and some Mao. I end up dying when I downstab too early and crash into one, but next time I make it through to the next screen. This room has a couple iron knuckles guarding a door. I kill them but find I'm missing a key, so I backtrack to the lift, take it up and go right to the next room. This just has me running a straight line towards another lift that I take up. I keep moving left, bouncing on some Stalfos heads to the screen containing the key. I return to the door and unlock it to grab the flute. This is how you deal with that giant spider south of Nabooru. I backtrack up the lift, through the wall and take the previous lift back up. I go left to a screen containing a Guma, making sure to get the red potion from the dragon statue. I walk past the lift, go left some more and break through some blocks to face Nine Knuckle and get another point bag. I then ride the lift down. It's another straight line of Magos and Bubbles, but with a point bag to upstab on the way. At this point, orange iron knuckles only take 2 hits to kill. I ignore the red one above me but have to deal with the blue one. Or do I? I use the jump spell to get on the blocks, walk to the wall and downstab my way to the next key. I go back to the lift and ride it all the way up to find another door to unlock. Got another blue and red iron knuckle to deal with before I reach the boss room. Gooma, not to be confused with Guma, here kills me in one hit due to my low health. I cast shield and do it properly next time. His mace has massive range, but his pattern is simple. Once he swings, I run in for a single stab while he's open and back away or jump. It's still tricky though and I find myself having to heal at one point. His face is armoured so it has to be the gut eye stab. Apparently this guy is an addition to the western versions. I believe the Famicom Disk System simply repeated a boss here. In the end I kill him and place a crystal on the statue. Just one left. With the level up it grants me, I get magic level 7 and leave. Once I've healed up, I go south of Nabooru and play the flute to get rid of that spider. Following the path south I get a scream of a huge fence and Lizalfos peeking out from the top and throwing rocks down at me. There are some that try to fight me face to face too, but I just decide to ignore them and brute force my way to the end. Going further south gets me another similar screen, except this time there's a basilisk on the ground, and then further south once more gets me another to run through. Exiting the canyon gets me to a graveyard next to a swamp. I get in the swamp and hug the west wall going north. This takes me to a screen requiring the jump spell to get a link doll. Then it's further north into a cave where I just walk right into the first enemy and lose that new life I just got. It's a basic 2-screen cave with nothing new and a point bag with 500 XP inside at the end. From the cave I go southeast out of the swamp to cross a bridge into a forest. But first, the bridge is its own screen with Bago Bago jumping out of the water and basilisks walking along it. There's a beach south of the forest and east of these 3 rocks is a tile hiding a screen with the game's final heart container. Then it's northwest slightly into the forest for a hidden screen with another point bag. I continue slightly northwest to enter another cave. It's filled with tech types but I don't have enough magic for fire, so I'll just have to bounce over them with the downstab. The second screen has a pair of Lizalfos, but I'm on my last life with little health, so I just bounce over them too and exit the cave onto this beach. As soon as I enter the forest, I can use the hammer on some trees to reveal the hidden town of Kasuto. The only town that didn't get a character named after it in Ocarina of Time. What did this Kasuto person do to get completely left behind then? This town is a replacement, as one woman I talked to says they had to flee the original town. I talk to an old woman who lets me in her house and tells me of a secret at the edge of town. I go into her basement to grab the 4th and final magic container in the game. I go to the second screen and enter the first open house, then crouch in front of the fireplace to go down and meet the old man who teaches me the spell. I'll get to it in a bit. The third screen is empty except for a wall. I cast the spell here to make a building grow from the ground. Inside is a magic key that will allow me to unlock all locked doors in all remaining dungeons for free. Since I have only one life, I don't feel like starting another palace yet, so instead I hang around in the forest and grind, with the intention of healing in Kasuto whenever my health gets low. However, I get some bad luck 3/4 of the way to my next level when a red Lizalfos kills me and I lose it all. So I head all the way back and start again. Starting the grind from scratch, it takes 7 minutes to get the 4000 XP for life level 8. 12 minutes later, I get to 5000 XP and attack level 7. 9 minutes after that, I get 6000 XP and magic level 8. I decide to get going after this, back through the cave and back on the beach. I go west to find one more town, but first I have to cross a bridge screen. Nothing new at this point. The town is the original Kasuto, deserted with ruined houses. That's about it, so I go back, getting myself killed when a Bago Bago knocks me off the bridge. I stand in the middle of the rock triangle on the beach and play the flute. This makes the 6th palace appear, the Hidden Palace. From the first lift, I go down 1 floor and get off to the left. With level 7 attack, Bubbles now take only 14 hits to kill. I have to use a jump spell to make it to the next screen. It's another room climbing the breakable blocks and partway along I can downstab my way to a point bag. I return to the lift and go right. There's a row of more blocks I can upstab through to grab another point bag. I then take the lift to the next floor down. I unlock the door, having never needed to search for a key this time, and keep moving right. Got Wizrobes and Doom Knockers to deal with before I move on to the next screen, then a Blue Iron Knuckle. I'm certain the developers found out about the jump and stab timing and deliberately started putting them under low ceilings to prevent its use. I use the jump spell to cross a pit, open a door, and jump over this Iron Knuckle since I don't have the health to take it on. At the start of the next room, a Wizrobe teleports into me and kills me. This floor is just all Wizrobes and I run off to the next screen. There's a Blue Iron Knuckle trapped in the blocks, but I jump over him and keep going, making sure to grab the point back at the bottom. Halfway through the room is a lift, but first I move right some more to the next room. I run along the room avoiding Moa and Wizrobes until I accidentally fall through a fake floor. I break through the blocks on my right to get a point bag. I break through the blocks on the left and avoid a Moa, Bubble and Iron Knuckle on my way to the next room. This one has Armoured Stalfos and Wizrobes. Since I only have one more level to gain, and clearing the palace will automatically give it to me, I decide to avoid unnecessary fights since I don't need the XP anymore. I unlock a door and ride the lift up to reveal it was the lift I skipped last time. I use the jump spell to cross the invisible hole and break through the block wall to the next room. In here I'm given a rematch against the Rebonak. I get him down to the Iron Knuckle phase, but lost too much health on the way here and lose my last life. And on the way back I lose my first life to a Bago on a bridge. I make it to him with 75% health next time. I easily kill him and get one of the only 2 keys in this palace, not that I'll need it. I unlock the door and get the final item in the game, the cross. This allows me to see blue and purple Moas, which would be invisible otherwise. I fall down the hole and die while backtracking. I make it back to the room with the visible pits, having lost most of my health on the way. I then drop into the pit to land on a collapsing bridge and jump off to the left. I fight back this Iron Knuckle to a point bag against the wall, but it kills me and I game over. I get back with all 3 lives and get it next time. I drop through the pit again to another bridge and then do it once more. I go left for another point bag. I drop into the pit again, which loops after 4 drops. I drop 3 times and go to the right to unlock a door. The next room has me jumping over lava pits while avoiding the flying Ra. I just about reach the end with a block wall to break through before one knocks me into the lava, but I make it through next time. Next is just running straight ahead with Wizrobes and an Iron Knuckle. This screen has me using the fairy spell to fly to the other side while avoiding bubbles and the ceiling fireball things. The next screen just has a couple enemies until I reach this lift I go down 2 floors on. I unlock a door on the right and then go left. It's another block climbing room, but in this one I lose loads of health dealing with Mao and an Iron Knuckle at the same time. All just so I can downstab to another point bag. I then return to the lift, take it back up and unlock the door to the right. The room at least still has me a second rematch with a Rebonak. I die thanks to all that health I lost getting the bag. I grab the other key I don't need and keep moving right. All I have to do in the next room is ferry across this gap, getting cramped in with 2 bubbles and an Iron Knuckle to grab a Link doll. I then fly into the hole to fall through another room and land on this collapsing bridge. I follow it to the left side of the room to get a red potion from a statue, since those bubbles drain nearly all my magic. Going left 2 rooms from here takes me back to the bottom of the lift. I drop down the hole once again, but this time on the screen after, I ferry my way into a passage on the right. This takes me to the room containing the palace boss, Baba, or Volvagia in Japanese, clearly supposed to be the same species, if not the same entity, from Ocarina of Time. There are lava pits in this room it will rise out of. It'll breathe fireballs and I have to stab its head. If I'm careful, I can also downstab it as it lowers into the lava. I just stay on the platform I'm on, crouch stab off one of the edges and hope he rises into it. If he chooses a different spot, I just try to avoid the fire. I aim to a hit from death, but he kills me first. Luckily I grab that Link doll, so I kill him next time, but he still nearly took all my health. I place the final crystal and get the final level up in the game, attack level 8. I am now fully upgraded. From now on, every 9,000 experience I gain will be converted into an extra life. And with all 6 crystals placed, it's now time to search for the Great Palace to find the Triforce of Courage. I return to the deserted Kasuto, now I can see the invisible Moas here, and enter the first house. The old man inside will teach me the Thunder Spell, claimed to be the most powerful spell in the game, but it takes a huge 64 magic points to use. We'll see it later. And now I'm fully equipped as well. I get a game over when crossing the bridge back outside town, but that doesn't matter, I'm gonna need all lives for this. The graveyard north of the deserted Kasuto has the path to the Great Palace. There's an exit to the south leading into the Valley of Death. First I have to deal with another wall screen with the rock throwing and some Moas flying around. After this, there's supposed to be this screen to the east that a guide claimed had a red potion, but I couldn't make one appear no matter what I did. So I get moving west. Battle scenes here are very cruel, with many flying enemies and lava pits for them to knock you into. As I keep heading west, I get a mandatory screen. Got to fight Lizalfos in a cramped tunnel with Moas flying into me. Then he's jumping across lava pits to another Lizalfos tunnel. I then use the jump spell to ensure I cross the final gap. Back outside I get moving north. I die in a fight while my upstab's recoil knocks me into lava. Left of this fork is a tile where I can find another point bag. Not that they're needed anymore, but still got to grab them all. I then take the right fork north into a cave screen that's pretty much identical to the first. I lose my second life from pressing the jump button too late. Then I fall into lava trying to downstab and have to start it all again. This time I fall in lava in the first cave, but this time I do make it through the one I game overed in. I go all the way north into this cave entrance. It's just going up and down these hills with flying enemies all over. The second screen is a straight line with an Aruroda and my first blue Lizalfos. They throw their maces, so imagine a red Dyra, but stronger and with a shield. I just have to back him off the screen so I can leave. From here I can only go south. Once I reach the point where I can turn around and go north again, I get another of these identical screens. I make it through and continue north into another cave. I just need to get through this and I'm safe. There's a blue Lizalfos at the beginning and I decide, fuck it, and bounce over him. But there's a red Lizalfos blocking my way later on, slowing me down enough for the blue one to catch up and kill me. But next time I get over him and make it through the other end, allowing me to finally reach the Great Palace. This is also the only checkpoint in the game. If I game over in the Great Palace, I'll just start at the beginning of the palace instead. With all 6 crystals placed, the barrier disappears and lets me in. I take the lift down. This place is big. I go left to find we're still getting new enemies. Here we have the Fokaru. They spit fireballs so that can only be blocked with the reflect spell, and if they land on the floor, they'll move along the floor towards you. The next room has me climb blocks onto a bridge with an invisible gap that drops me right into some bits. I get over it next time to find another lift. I take it down and go right to the next screen. Next screen has no enemies, so it's right to the next screen as well. This room is just one Fokaru guarding a lift. This room has me breaking through several columns of blocks while Ra constantly flying at me. The screen after gives me one of the worst enemies in the game, the appropriately named Foka. Imagine if a blue iron knuckle could jump. I don't think I need to elaborate. I don't even try fighting and try running to the next screen, but at one point I have to climb up some stairs and break down through some blocks and the Foka chases me all the way there. But I bait it into moving away and take the chance to get through and take another lift down. I go down one floor, but on the second one down, around the bottom I can walk into a hidden passage on the left where I can fight a King Bubble. It only takes a few hits and doesn't give me anything for killing it, not even XP. I ride the lift down to the bottom and go right, where I take a hit from a Fokaru and phase through to the next screen. Next room is just me running forward and constantly downstabbing to catch any Ra and rope that comes near me. Then I take another lift down. I smash through some blocks for a blue Foka to appear out of nowhere, but I bounce over it and keep moving. But it catches up while I'm breaking through the next lot of blocks and kills me. Game over. However, I choose save instead of continue. Continue starts me at the Great Palace entrance. Save puts me back at the North Palace like normal. So I have to go through the Valley of Death again. I make it back with half health and only 2 lives left. Then I lose that second life on the very first Fokaru. So I just deliberately game over to start again with all my lives. This time I lose my first life on the first Foka at the same time I open my menu to equip the life spell that would have saved me. I kill the blue Foka that game overed me last time, but it took nearly all my health and magic. The next screen is a collapsing bridge leading to yet another lift. It takes me down to a room with another King Bubble and a Fokaru, but I ignore them and keep moving. At the start of the next, I lose that last bit of health to a Foka. I try escaping, but it's another set of stairs to a column of blocks and there's a King Bubble there too. So I still have to kill him before I can downstab my way to another lift going down. I go down 2 floors and go right across these blocks and carefully downstab to a fairy without dropping myself in lava. I go left of the lift and jump over a long chain of lava pits to the next room. In this room is the final Link doll in the game. I return to the lift and take it down one more time. I go left and force my way past the Fokaru to the next room. I end up in a cramped tunnel filled with blocks. 5 blocks from the left I downstab through and into a hole. From where it drops me I move right for a giant bit to appear above me. I upstab it to split it into 5 normal ones with a lot of health. I continue to the next screen where I run over a collapsing bridge until I see a hole I can drop into. I go left when I land and start breaking blocks for a Foka to be hidden inside one of them, then another one that kills me. Instead I just go right. In here we get the second to last boss in the game, Thunderbird. It is invincible until you cast the Thunder spell. I cast Jump and Shield so I can try to hit it in the face while it flies around dropping fireballs. And after each hit, the fireballs become more frequent. I get the second to last hit in, seconds before one of its fireballs lands on me and gets me a game over. I was so close. I lose my first life to a Ra inches from a lift. I get back to Thunderbird, but I deal less damage than I did last time before it kills me. Next time I end up a hit from death with it still having 2 units of health, but I get those last hits in and kill it. I was going to try the final boss without the well-known trick, but I'm a hit from death on my last life, so I'm skipping that attempt. I move into the room where there's a tiny old man guarding the Triforce of Courage. To trigger the final boss, I have to cast Shield, which instead forces Link's shadow out of himself. So I crouch in the corner and mash that attack button like never before. I am not getting the game over this far in. This trick doesn't work in the Japanese Famicom Disk System version, it somehow came in with the NES and I'm very thankful for it. After destroying my thumb, Link's shadow is defeated and the Old Man grants Link the Triforce of Courage, and combining its power with the Triforces of Wisdom and Power he got in the first game, he awakens Zelda. Zelda thanks Link, and as the curtain lowers, we get the first known kiss between Link and Zelda, at least implied. Even games where their romantic relationship is a huge part of the story didn't get that. Apart from Breath of the Wild being in a distant future of all 3 timelines, we never got any continuation after this game. Every other game since is either a prequel to a prequel, or a sequel to a prequel. So for the longest time, the second game in the series also acted as its ending, which is strange. I wonder how 2 Zeldas being around at the same time is going to work. But anyway, I always used to think this was the weakest mainline Zelda game. Part of it I suppose was bandwagoning. Now that I've played it all the way through and actually taken the time to get used to how it plays, I'm gonna say it, I like Adventure of Link more than the first game. Once you learn all the techniques, I find the combat far more fun despite some annoying enemies, and even the exploration. There's far less of the burn every bush in the game type of cryptic shit, which I don't miss. Much better soundtrack too. This game's 2 dungeon themes are far better than the first game's especially. I do have some problems. You've seen my frustrations with certain enemies which are more tedious than fun. Along with that, I have never liked the life system, but they aren't enough to stop me liking this game more. I don't judge the second game in a series for being different from the formula we've come to expect in hindsight of what came after, just because what came after reverted to the first game's style. And I heavily disagree with the idea it should have just been a spin-off instead of the main game for being so different. I think the mainline Zelda series is more interesting for having this game as part of it. So yeah, Zelda 2. Good game, not one of my favourites on the NES or in the series, but better than the boring fuckers in the not a true Zelda game crowd would have you believe.